Judy Garland's discretion. What MGM did to her will make you cry. She was America's sweetheart, the girl who sang Over the Rainbow and captured hearts worldwide. But behind the ruby slippers and that iconic smile, Judy Garland lived through a nightmare that Hollywood tried desperately to hide. What the most powerful studio in Hollywood did to a teenage girl would spark outrage today, but in the 1930s and 40s, it was just business as usual. This is the documented story of how MGM's systematic exploitation destroyed one of the greatest talents the world has ever known. The name Judy Garland remains synonymous with classic Hollywood glamour and musical brilliance. But historical records reveal a far darker reality behind the scenes at Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer Studios. Through documented accounts from biographers, Garland's own testimony, and insider reports from that era, we now understand the full extent of what this young performer endured. Today, we're examining the historically documented practices that MGM employed to control their most valuable asset, and how these actions affected not just Judy Garland's career, but her entire life. From pharmaceutical manipulation to psychological abuse, the evidence paints a troubling picture of studio-era Hollywood. This isn't speculation or gossip, these are verified facts that have been confirmed by multiple sources, including Garland herself and later interviews, studio documentation, and testimony from those who witnessed these practices firsthand. Born Frances Ethel Gum in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, on June 10, 1922, Judy Garland began performing at just 2.5 years old. By age 13, she had signed with MGM Studios in 1935, and studio head Louis B. Mayer immediately saw her potential and began the process of molding her into his vision of a star. According to biographical accounts, Mayer became a father figure to the young Frances, soon renamed Judy Garland. However, this relationship had a manipulative element. Historians note that Mayer would alternate between calling her "my little hunchback" due to concerns about her appearance and treating her with paternal affection, creating an emotionally confusing dynamic for the teenage performer. The studio system of that era exercised complete control over contract players. For Judy Garland, this meant that MGM dictated every aspect of her life: what she ate, when she slept, how she looked, and ultimately, what substances she consumed to maintain the grueling schedule they demanded. Perhaps the most disturbing documented practice was MGM's systematic use of drugs to control Judy Garland's energy levels and weight. Historical records confirm that studio executives provided the teenage performer with amphetamines to keep her working through 18-hour days, then barbiturates to help her sleep at night. In her own words, from a 1967 interview with Barbara Walters, Judy Garland confirmed, "They had us working days and nights on end. They'd give us pep pills to keep us on our feet long after we were exhausted. Then they'd take us to the studio hospital and knock us cold with sleeping pills." Biographer Gerald Clark documented that this practice began when Garland was as young as 15 years old, during the production of various MGM musicals. The studio justified these practices as necessary to maintain production schedules and maximize their investment in their contract players. Medical experts today recognize that this created a cycle of chemical dependency that would plague Judy Garland for her entire life. The amphetamines, often benzodrine tablets, suppressed her appetite and provided artificial energy, while barbiturates like Seconal helped her come down from the stimulants. This pharmaceutical regime established patterns of substance dependency before she was old enough to legally vote. Studio documents and contemporary accounts reveal an obsessive focus on Judy Garland's weight. Despite being a normal, healthy teenager, MGM executives constantly criticized her appearance. They put her on severely restrictive diets, sometimes limiting her to chicken soup, black coffee, and cigarettes, with studio personnel actively encouraging smoking as an appetite suppressant. According to historian Ann Edwards, Judy Garland was placed on her first studio-mandated diet at age 14. The pills MGM provided weren't just for energy. They were specifically chosen for their appetite-suppressing properties. When filming The Wizard of Oz in 1938 at age 16, the studio was reportedly concerned about her developing figure and took extreme measures to keep her looking childlike. In documented accounts, Judy Garland recalled being called the Fat One when working alongside slimmer actresses like Lana Turner and Ava Gardner. These comments came not from malicious co-stars, but from studio executives and producers who saw her as a product to be perfected rather than a human being to be respected. The psychological impact of this constant criticism was profound. By her 20s, Judy Garland had developed a severely distorted body image and eating patterns that would trouble her throughout her life. directly traceable to these formative years under MGM's control. The studio system operated contract players with relentless intensity, and Judy Garland was among the most frequently worked. Production records show that between 1939 and 1949, she appeared in nearly 30 films, an average of 3 per year, each requiring months of rehearsals, recording sessions, and filming. Historical accounts describe days that began at 4 a.m. for makeup and continued until 10 p.m. or later. Between 1940 and 1942 alone, Judy Garland made 8 major motion pictures, along with radio appearances, recording sessions, and personal appearances. This schedule would be considered excessive for an adult performer. For a teenager, it bordered on exploitation. According to biographer John Frick, the studio scheduled her so intensively that she often worked on multiple films simultaneously, moving from set to set throughout the day. The amphetamines weren't just encouraged, they became necessary for her to physically maintain this pace. MGM's control extended into Judy Garland's personal relationships. Studio documents reveal that the publicity department carefully managed her romantic life, arranging dates and relationships that would benefit the studio's image while discouraging those they deemed problematic. Her first marriage to musician David Rose in 1941, when she was just 19, was initially opposed by the studio. According to historical records, when Judy Garland became pregnant during this marriage, MGM executives pressured her to have an abortion, concerned about the impact on her career and their production schedule. Garland later spoke about this loss with great pain, describing it as one of several studio-mandated terminations. The studio's interference in her personal life created additional emotional trauma. They controlled who she could see, when she could marry, and even pressured her regarding family planning, all in service of protecting their investment and maintaining their production schedules. By the late 1940s, the cumulative effects of years of pharmaceutical dependence, overwork, and psychological abuse were taking their toll. In 1947, during the production of The Pirate, Judy Garland suffered her first documented nervous breakdown. She was just 25 years old. Historical records show that she was briefly hospitalized, but MGM's primary concern was getting her back to work. The studio had millions invested in upcoming productions, and Garland's contract required her to perform. According to biographers, the studio sent representatives to her hospital room to discuss filming schedules. Her behavior became increasingly erratic, not from any inherent instability, but as a direct result of the chemical dependency and exhaustion the studio had created. She began missing work, arriving late, or being unable to perform. Rather than recognizing their role in her deteriorating condition, studio executives blamed Garland herself. In 1950, after 15 years of service to MGM, Judy Garland was fired from the studio. She was 27 years old, addicted to the medications they had provided since adolescence, and psychologically damaged from years of abuse, masked as career management. The official reason given was her unreliability and failure to meet contractual obligations. Historical perspective reveals a different truth. MGM had systematically exploited a child performer, created dependencies that made normal functioning difficult, and then discarded her when she could no longer maintain the impossible standards they had set. According to financial records, Judy Garland had earned millions for MGM, but had little to show for it personally. The studio system took substantial percentages, and her spending, often enabled or encouraged by the studio, left her in difficult financial circumstances despite her massive success. Historical research has revealed that Judy Garland's experience, while particularly well documented, was not unique. Other young performers at MGM and other studios faced similar practices. Mickey Rooney, her frequent co-star, confirmed in his autobiography that he too was given pills by the studio to maintain energy and control weight. The difference was that Judy Garland's particular sensitivity, combined with the intensity of her work schedule and the duration of this treatment from such a young age, made her especially vulnerable to long-term damage. The studio system's practices affected many, but few as profoundly as Hollywood's Girl Next Door. Life after MGM. The long-shadowed Judy Garland's post-MGM career included brilliant moments: her legendary 1961 Carnegie Hall concert, her Oscar-nominated performance in A Star is Born, 1954, and successful television work. However, she continued to struggle with the dependencies created during her studio years. Biographers note that she sought help repeatedly, entering treatment facilities and attempting to break free from the pharmaceutical cycle that began in her teens. But the damage from those formative years proved lasting. Her relationships suffered, her finances remained troubled, and her health continued to decline. On June 22, 1969, Judy Garland was found dead in her London home at age 47. The coroner ruled the death accidental, caused by an overdose of barbiturates, the same type of medication MGM had first given her 3 decades earlier as a teenager. Her death shocked the world and prompted important conversations about the treatment of performers, especially child actors. According to cultural historians, Judy Garland's story became a catalyst for reforms in how the entertainment industry treated young performers, leading to stronger labor protections and increased scrutiny of studio practices. The woman who had brought joy to millions through her performances had lived a life marked by exploitation and abuse from the very industry that profited from her talents. Historical documentation makes clear that this wasn't the result of personal failings or bad choices, but systematic institutional practices that prioritize profit over human welfare. The story of Judy Garland represents one of Hollywood's most troubling chapters. Through documented accounts, historical records, and her own testimony, we now understand that behind the magic of classic MGM musicals was a system that exploited vulnerable young performers with little regard for their well-being. The pharmaceutical dependency that began when studio executives gave pills to a 15-year-old girl, the psychological abuse disguised as career guidance, the control over every aspect of her personal life. These weren't rumors or exaggerations. They were documented practices that Judy Garland and others experienced firsthand. Her legacy extends beyond her remarkable talent and unforgettable performances. Judy Garland's story prompted important reforms in child labor laws and entertainment, increased awareness about the treatment of performers, and sparked conversations about corporate responsibility toward those who create art and entertainment. Today, when we watch Judy Garland sing Over the Rainbow or dance through Meet Me in St. Louis, we can appreciate both her extraordinary gifts and understand the human cost behind those magical moments. Her story serves as a reminder that behind every classic film were real people who deserve to be treated with dignity, care, and respect, principles that weren't always honored in Hollywood's golden age. Judy Garland gave the world extraordinary joy through her performances. Understanding the full truth of her experience honors her memory far more than perpetuating the carefully crafted studio myth of effortless stardom. Which aspect of Judy Garland's story surprised you most? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this historical examination valuable, please like this video and subscribe for more documentary-style explorations of Hollywood's hidden history. Understanding the past helps us build a better future for performers of all ages.